Hi, I'm Elise and welcome to Witch Way. Today I'll be looking into the witch lore of the Marvel universe that surrounds WandaVision. Warning, there will be big spoilers for WandaVision if you have not yet seen it and don't want any spoilers, go check it out before coming on back, but if you're okay with spoilers, carry on. Released in 2021, WandaVision stars Elizabeth Olsen as Wanda Maximoff, Paul Bettany as Vision, Tiona Paris as Monica Rambeau, and Catherine Hayne as Agnes. It's set after the events of Avengers Endgame and follows Wanda Maximoff. As one of the returned, she's lost the last 5 years of her life and is trying to deal with the aftermath of the battle with Thanos and the death of Vision, both at her hands and again by Thanos. She locks herself away from the world to try and create a perfect, normal family life in Westview, but she has to face reality sooner rather than later. Reality hits her in the face after Agnes reveals herself to be the powerful witch Agatha Harkness. But who is Agatha? In this series, Agatha Harkness is the main antagonist, a long-lived powerful witch who was persecuted in Salem. But unlike the real-world Salem witch trials, which were indeed still taking place in 1693, Agatha was tried by other witches, for she had turned against her own kind by using dark magic. They are not strong enough to stop her, and she escapes, leaving death in her wake and taking their Book of the Damned, a book of spells and prophecy. Flash forward a few hundred years, and she discovers the witch from her prophecy, the Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff. Scarlet Witch's origins have been changed multiple times. In the MCU, her abilities are a product of experimentation and contact with the Infinity Stones. But here it reveals that Wanda may have had her own abilities prior to these experiments when we take a trip down memory lane.
Used a probability hex.
This alludes that Wanda must also be a witch and is also a nod to her abilities in the comics, the power of probability, which she calls her hex.
You called it the hex.
She struggles to control her abilities until she is trained by Agatha Harkness. In the comics, Agatha is her mentor, and prior to this, first made an appearance in issue 94 of 1961's Fantastic Four comic book series. Looking more like Agatha from WandaVision's mother, she is usually depicted as an old woman, though is way older than she appears. She has her black cat familiar Ebony by her side, and is usually seen wearing a cameo brooch. In the comics, after it's revealed she is a witch, she assists the Avengers and the Fantastic Four multiple times with her abilities, such as astral projection, precognition, calling on a bunch of deities such as Rhiannon, Demeter and Hecate, and has lots of rhymey spellcasting, until her past catches up with her. In this alternate universe, she was indeed around during the Salem witch trials, but after these trials, the witches of Salem decided to relocate to New Salem and hide themselves away from the rest of the world, similar to the way in which Wanda in the series hides away the town of Westview. Agatha was the leader of New Salem until she decided to leave and again be among the mortals, and taught Scarlet Witch some of their abilities, which apparently was against the law of New Salem, and she was lured back. In New Salem, she is tried and burned at the stake. Even though in real-world Salem they hung witches, but there's a bit of comic book flair for you. But even after her death, she comes back in astral form, such as in The Vision and the Scarlet Witch, one of the main inspirations for this show. She also just straight up comes back in Avengers West Coast, issue 51, to try and determine the creation of Wanda's children, who don't get a happy ending and are wiped from Scarlet Witch's memories. In the later Avengers Disassembled, Scarlet Witch kills Agatha for her part in the events and turns the Avengers against each other, only to be stopped by the Sorcerer Supreme, Doctor Strange.
Your power exceeds that of the Sorcerer Supreme.
After the events of WandaVision, it has been confirmed that the Scarlet Witch will be returning in the upcoming Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, so I'm excited to see what the future holds for the Scarlet Witch. I am, however, a little peeved that they turned Agatha into the antagonist, as there are plenty of other villains out there to choose from. Nicholas Scratch would have been the perfect candidate, even someone from the Salem 7, or even Morgan Le Fay would have worked. It's a shame they left out Ebony the cat familiar, but at least Nicholas Scratch gets a nod.
Oh, I brought my pet rabbit for your magic act.
We will take good care of him.
Senor Scratchy just loves the stage.
But hey, I can't complain too much, as I loved the change in the origin story, as it makes Scarlet Witch's name, to quote the comics, more truth than poetry. I loved the opening inspired by Bewitched, and the little nod to Wizard of Oz when only Agatha's shoes were seen under a car. If you would like to read the most witch-based origin story starring both Agatha Harkness and the Scarlet Witch, I would recommend reading 2015's Scarlet Witch comics by James Robinson. In these comics, it explains that witchcraft has a drawback. It ages Wanda, similar to how it does in the series. Though in this case the aging is internal, it's the price she has to pay so no one else has to. I guess this show gets marks for history because Salem's briefly mentioned, but let's see what the MCU does with witchcraft going forwards. Thank you very much for watching. Follow me on socials for some extra content, and I'm even on TikTok now. Find all those in the links, and as always, please like and subscribe to keep up to date with new content here on Witch Way.